when completing the download of the Visual Studio Code and double clicking the file, we get the Visual Studio Code on our computer. I chose to keep that file inside the applications folder. So checking the applications folder, we can find the Visual Studio Code installed together with other applications. Now, the next step would be installing Python. We should use the brew installer following the instructions that were published on the visualstudio.com website. So let's do it. So we type brew install and then Python 3. Now let's wait for the installation of Python to complete. In order to allow us to launch the Visual Studio Code from the command line, let's open the command palette, Command Shift P, and then let's type shell command and select the option Install Code command in path. By doing so, it will be possible to use the code command when using the command line. So let's get back to the terminal and let's start a new window or restart the one we are already using, and then let's create a new folder. Its name will be Python project. Let's move to that folder and then let's type code and dot. By doing so, we actually launch the Visual Studio Code, and we also now have the new created folder as the folder Visual Studio Code focus on. So this is actually the folder of our files, the files we work on, kind of a project, a collection of files we use in our project. We can easily verify the success of the Python interpreter installation by opening the terminal and typing Python 3 space dash dash version. And as you can see, the installation of the Python interpreter was successful. In order to install the Python extension into the Visual Studio Code installation on our computer, we just need to visit at marketplace.visualstudio.com and then select on top the Visual Studio Code option and look for the Python extension that was developed by Microsoft, and then just click the install button. Doing so will install this extension into our Visual Studio Code installation. As you can see, I've already installed it, so I have nothing left to do. I can move forward to the next step. Let's write some code and show how to execute the code and how to debug it. So let's start with creating a new folder for the new project. So make the name of the folder will be Python demo. Now let's move to Python demo and let's just type code space dot. That will launch the Visual Studio Code, and Python demo will be our folder, the folder we work on. Now let's add simple file with code in Python. Let's name it utils.py. Now let's define a function. Its name will be total. Total will take two numbers, and it will return the sum of the two numbers it took. Now let's add one more file. Its name will be program.py, and over here let's import utils, and now let's calculate result 1 is assigned with utils.total, and we pass over 3 and 4. Result 2 is assigned with the value we get back when calling total and passing over 7 and 2. Now we have result 3 assigned with the total we get when calling total and passing over the value we have in result 1 and the value we have in result 2. Now let's print result 3 to the screen. Now, in order to execute this code, we can easily right click and select run selected run Python file, this specific file in terminal, or we can go over here and select run Python file, the same. If you want to debug, you just need to place a breakpoint, and then instead of selecting run, select debug. And when doing so, the execution will stop where you placed the breakpoint, and you can place the mouse over a specific variable and get detailed info about its value. You can add watches. For instance, I'm interested in value of a result 1, and you can just move forward just as with any other debugger. Step over will take you to the next line, or you can just select restart or start from the beginning, or continue till the next breakpoint, and if there isn't any more breakpoint, it will continue till the program ends. And this is the final output we get in this specific code sample. In order to create a Jupyter notebook using Visual Studio Code, we just need to create a new file. Let's name it sample. This will be the name of our Jupyter notebook. The extension should be IPYNB. Num1 assigned with 3, num2 is assigned with 4, and we want to calculate the sum of these two numbers, and we want to print it. In order to execute this specific code cell, we just need to press the play button, and then it asks us to specify the interpreter we want to use. Let's specify this one, and as you can see, there is a need to install additional package. Let's select install. Let's wait for the installation to complete. And here it is. This is the output. If you want to debug, then you just need to select debug instead of play. Now, if we want to debug, let's first place a breakpoint. So now let's debug. And as you can see, we can see that num1 holds the value of 3. We can move forward one step at a time and see that now num2 holds the value 4, and as before we can just execute till the end of the cell. Instead of using the Python interpreter we can download from python.org, we can use the Anaconda. So just browse at anaconda.com and download and install it on your computer. When the installation completes, you will have another option to select when choosing the Python interpreter you want to use. Using the Visual Studio Code, you can select which interpreter you want to use. Let's select the Anaconda. In order to execute your Jupyter notebook using a local server and a web browser running on your computer, just open the terminal and type Jupyter notebook. Now you can see your notebook running using your web browser.